I'm sure you've seen Antonio's ArtWad videos. He's super blunt and always telling you what you did wrong and how his method is possibly the best way to learn how to draw. But is it true? Is ArtWad worth the money? Can you actually learn how to draw from his beginner roadmap? Let's find out. Welcome to Panels in Progress. I'm Chris, and today I'm going to give a review of ArtWad's Beginner Road. Full disclosure, this is not the first time that I have joined ArtWad's program. Back in 2021, I did their beginner course as well, but it was completely different. Back then you were given video lessons that you would then watch the lesson and then do the homework. The lessons were a little bit longer, probably between 15 to 20 minutes depending on the video, and you would turn in the homework and you would wait for one of the ArtWad members to grade it, give you feedback, and either pass or fail you. And the whole entire process was fairly slow. I think I was able to complete 1 or 2 lessons a week, maybe, but sometimes it would take a little bit longer, maybe 1 lesson a week. I did this for a couple months because I wanted to improve my understanding of how to draw. And you're probably asking, well, if the program was working back then, why'd you quit? It was that damn simple mannequin. There was this exercise that no matter what I did, no matter what I drew, it never passed. I got a fail over and over and over again. I must have been stuck on this simple mannequin for at least a month straight before I finally decided, you know what? I quit. But I didn't quit drawing, I just quit the program, stopped paying for it, and continued to learn on my own. So you're probably wondering, what brought me back? ArtWad has recently changed everything. They've got a new user interface, new roadmaps, a new coin system, and the fact that you can draw directly in the app. I never stopped watching Antonio's videos. I really like the way he explains things. I like his technique, and one of the videos just happened to demonstrate him using ArtWad in the app and drawing in the app. And from that moment, I just knew I had to try it because he was also saying that there was a free trial if you gave it a try. So I signed up, and it only took a couple of those free lessons for me to realize that I wanted to sign up for the paid version of ArtWad, and so I did. Alright, so let's talk about what I like about the app. I love the fact that it's a very clear roadmap of everything that you're going to learn. They're broken down into little lessons. And how it works is, at the start of each lesson, you get a short video from Antonio. It's usually top down where you're seeing him explain and draw whatever the lesson for that day is. The videos can range anywhere between 3 to 10 minutes. I don't think there was a video in that whole beginner course that was over 10 minutes. And I found that even when I was short on time, having about 20 minutes to work on art for the day, it was really easy to get the lesson for the day, 3 or 5 minutes, and then spend the remainder of the time doing those exercises. And that actually rolls me into the very next best part of this app, which is the exercises. I love the fact that immediately after you do a lesson, you have several exercises that you can complete practicing what's in the lesson. I think this is huge because how many times have we had so many YouTube tutorials, TikTok tutorials, Instagram tutorials, where someone is showing us how to do something. But then that's it. We watch all these videos, we are very interested in the subject matter, but I know for myself, after I watch these tutorial videos, I don't go to practice whatever I just learned. I just kind of move on to the next tutorial video and become a habitual tutorial watcher, but never a doer. And what ArtWad is doing is bridging the gap between instruction and application. You get the instruction video of how to do something, and then immediately after, you're getting to try it out. And I found it amazing and extremely helpful to add whatever the technique was to my memory. And a lot of the exercises were so much fun that I decided to pull out my sketchbook and do even more exercises to practice. There were plenty of days where I didn't feel like I got enough out of the exercises, and I decided to go manual to my sketchbook and repeat the exercises for at least a full page of whatever it was. Another cool feature of the roadmap is the grind nodes, and the grind nodes are not mandatory. However, they kind of give you extra exercises to practice all the things within that section. So it's like 10 different exercises back to back, but you can do them at your own pace. So it'll be like draw 10 circles, draw 15 squares, rotate them in this way, manipulate them in that way. Basically anything that you learned within that lesson will show up in these grind nodes, and you get that extra practice. And I think the beauty of the entire program is that Antonio is showing you how to see the matrix. For those of you who understand what the matrix is, basically he's teaching you how to see the world in forms, in shapes, and how to see that, oh, this is just a manipulated square, this is just a contoured box, or this is a elongated, subtracted cylinder. The way that he shows you how to view the world and take that to your art and then recreate it on the page is priceless to me, because breaking down things into simple forms, it's like something that we've always talked about, something that we've always heard about from all the professionals, all the great artists. However, actually putting it into place, putting it into action is exactly what ArtWad does. And like I said earlier, there were many exercises doing this where he gave me the ability to create from my own mind, from my own imagination, based upon the skills that he taught. And the beauty of the roadmap is that whatever you're learning in lesson 1, you will use again in lesson 2, in lesson 3, in lesson 4, and so on and so forth. All the lessons are built upon each other, and it's like little bricks, little Legos connecting the dots or connecting together to make this bigger picture. And by the time you get to the end of the lesson, you now have all the tools you need to draw something that normally you wouldn't have drawn. One example real quick before I go to the next section, I don't remember which lesson it was, but it was the car lesson. He showed us how to draw like old cars from the 50s or 40s, or actually I don't even know what year. Let me stop lying. I don't know what year these cars were from. They were just super old. But because of the way he taught the lesson, by the time you got to the end of it, you knew, oh, it's just a box, it's just a cylinder, the wheels are just cylinders, the little top of the car is just this little manipulated form. Like, you knew exactly how to break it down. And honestly, without taking this course, I don't think that I would know where to start without it. So the next question is it all good? No. My biggest complaint is probably the UI, the user interface. The app went through some changes within my 5 months of having it. The user interface in the very beginning, I really enjoyed it a lot, but then they changed it, and to be honest, I feel like I lost a lot of the control that first version of the app had. And so even though I loved the idea of being able to do the lessons and practice the exercises within the app, there were certain exercises that I didn't trust the user interface to get the job done. And I guess the good point about it is that you could download the worksheets and then import it into Clip Studio Paint. So whenever I felt like I needed a little bit more control with the pen tool, a little bit more variation, then I always just downloaded the worksheets and put them in Clip Studio Paint. I wish that the user interface was more like Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop, whatever, but it's more like MS Paint. And it takes away and kind of disheartens the experience of creating the exercises. Another complaint would be sometimes the art exercise instructions were a little bit too ambiguous. My interpretation of what the instructions were telling me to do and what I actually created would be completely different than what the solution of the exercise would be. You know, you've done the lesson, you've done the exercise, then you hit submit. After you submit your image, it actually shows you a solution. And sometimes those solutions, it just, my variation of whatever the instructions were would be different or slightly different from what they came up with. Now, I will say, I did appreciate the solutions that said that your results may vary and that there's different ways to solve this problem. And that let me accept that, okay, I'm probably doing this right, but maybe we're just thinking differently. But on the ones where it didn't have that disclaimer, it left me wondering, did I do this right? And I would either go back to my sketchbook and try to practice out the concepts some more, or I would just go on to the next lesson and hope that maybe he would explain a little bit more or give me some more context clues for how to think about whatever the situation is. My last complaint would be I didn't understand what everything meant. I understood that Antonio gamified the idea of learning how to draw. However, where I struggled was I didn't understand what the coins were for. I didn't understand what the XP was for or what each little individual box meant. What did everything mean? I tried looking on the website to try to figure out things, but it really just wasn't explained. Maybe I missed a video, maybe I missed a link that explained it all, but a little bit more clarity would be appreciated. I also didn't know what I should do next after doing the beginner road. It seemed that after you completed the beginner road, it kind of left it up to your interpretation of what you wanted to do next. There was a very clear divide, a very clear fork in the road, and the decision was, do I want to do people and faces or do I want to do environments? And as I said earlier, I want to learn how to do everything. But at that moment, I was like, man, I don't know which one I want to do first, and is it even possible for me to select two paths at the same time? And of course, I did decide to go the people path because, don't we all want to learn how to draw characters? So yeah, I went the people path, but I did eventually find out that you could also start the environment path at the same time, but I know how I am, and I usually have singular focus, so I just decided I'm going to do the people path first, complete that to its entirety, and then I will do the environment course next. And I also eventually learned at the end of the course, the coins that you're given, those are for feedback. So at the end of the beginner course, you're able to submit your homework. I'm not sure if they only looked at that very final one or if they looked at everything you did. It's probably that they only looked at the very final exercise that you turned in, but you can submit your work for feedback, and I think it took about 4 days before I got an answer on what they thought. And to be honest, I know my own weaknesses within that course, so I would say the feedback was valid on the things that I needed to fix, the things that I wasn't so confident about, but regardless, I'm very proud of the progress I made with the course. So, what have I learned? What am I learning? I think the biggest takeaway for me from this whole entire course were how to take complex structures and break them down into simple forms. That ability is super useful, especially when drawing objects. I am just amazed at the things I've been able to create because of that. And then the second biggest takeaway is form indication. How to indicate form has changed my life. It has changed how I look at things, and it's changing how I ink things and shade things, because now I know how to indicate form. Those form indication exercises were some of my absolute favorites. I love them so much on the app that I decided to redo them in my sketchbook multiple times because I just enjoyed the look and feel of it, and I wanted to make sure that what I was learning digitally I could translate into my traditional work as well. So now we're at the very end. The big question that you're all asking is it worth it? And I gotta say, it depends. ArtWad does have a variety of payment options, and you should definitely check those out. There's many, like there's a monthly subscription, there's a quarterly subscription, there's a yearly subscription. They're definitely worth checking out. Check out their prices. They're always running discounts where you can get like 30% off or 10% off. For me, I signed up for the quarterly subscription because that just seemed to be the best deal for me. But I guess I still haven't answered the question. Chris, is it worth it? And for me, I've got to say yes. Everything that I've learned and continue to learn from the application has definitely changed my art style, has definitely changed my understanding of how to draw, and I'm enjoying the process, and that's half of the battle. I will say that just like anything, any sort of course, any sort of application, it's only going to be as good as what you put into it. For myself, I took the lessons as the start of things. I took it as, yes, he's teaching me a concept, he's giving me exercises to practice, but it was up to me to pull out my sketchbook and do more exercises on the things that weren't clicking, or just do more exercises to see exactly how far I could push and pull the ideas that he was teaching me. The program can only help you if you're willing to do the work. Think of it as riding a bike. ArtWad is the training wheels, but you still have to get out and ride your bike. If you're not riding your bike, then it doesn't matter what course you sign up for, what application you sign up for, it won't be worth it. But if you're willing to put in the work, do the time that it takes, I think it could be very worth it. For myself, this whole entire roadmap took me about 5 months. I was doing one lesson every day, and then sometimes one lesson every 3 days, just depending. Sometimes I would do a lesson one day, and then the next day I would repeat exercises in my sketchbook of that lesson. I did not rush myself through this program because I was already working on a comic project that I wanted to devote more of my attention to, but I found that the lessons worked best as drawing warm-ups to get me started. So I was learning, I was warming up, and I was getting ready for my day. I intend to keep using ArtWad. I plan on completing the portrait course and then doing the environments course as well. And he's also got some other courses on there that I'm interested in too. And the one thing I didn't mention that is also a part of ArtWad are those daily challenges. Or they might be weekly. I'm not sure how often they come out, but there's so many on there where basically Antonio and team create a puzzle and you use the abilities that you have learned from ArtWad to solve the puzzle. I think it's pretty cool, and I think once I finish some more courses, I would definitely jump in on those puzzles. But what do you think? Have you given ArtWad a try? Have you seen his videos? Have you learned anything from Antonio? The application? What do you like about it, or what don't you like about it? Or do you have an even better course to recommend that I should try? Let me know in the comment section below, and until next time, keep drawing.